We've all pondered the idea of new Pokemon types at some point, with the sound type being one of the most commonly thought of. If you are one of these people, then I present to you Pokemon Prism. This is a beautiful ROM hack of Pokemon Crystal, where you play as the offspring of Dragon Master Lance. This hack includes several survival features like mining and crafting, character customization, and two brand new types, the sound type and the gas type. I did originally consider doing this challenge with each type separately, but Boss Rocket Chroma has already done a great video on the gas types, so I figured I'd showcase both types at once. Plus there aren't many Pokemon with these new types. The fully evolved gas types are Gengar, Weezing, and Torkoal. The fully evolved sound types are Wigglytuff, Exploud, Chimecho, and Porygon Z. The type matchups for these two types are as follows. Gas is super effective against Fighting, Fire, and Fairy. It is resisted by Rock, Sound, Grass, and Ice. Gas is weak to Fire, Electric, and Grass. It resists Fighting, Fairy, and Ground. The sound type is super effective against Ghost, Steel, and Water. It is resisted by Fighting and Bug. The sound type is weak to Fighting, Bug, Electric, and Normal. And it resists Rock, Steel, Gas, Water, and is completely immune to itself. At this point, I'm sure you've already figured out the rules. I can only use Gas and Sound types in battle, but I can catch other Pokemon to use HMs. No items in battle except Pokeballs and held items are allowed. Also, no glitches or exploits. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bronze on to see more content from me in the future. It is my goal to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I would really appreciate your help. Now then, let's go! Now in this game, you get a young Larvitar as your starter. I couldn't get the Universal Randomizer to work with this game, but this shouldn't be an issue, since we can get our first team member pretty quickly, and I can keep Larvitar for HMs. After speaking to this region's Pokemon Professor, he lets us keep his Larvitar, and we can head north. We do have to do the opening rival fight before we can catch Pokemon, but that's about it. Now that we can catch our first Pokemon, I did unfortunately have to use a cheat code, since we can't get past the first mandatory NPC without getting to our new Pokemon. I decided to use a cheat code in order to get us a Koffing, since it's the earliest team member we can encounter. Our first challenge is the Fire-type gym leader, Josiah. Turns out starting with a Gas Pokemon was a bad move on my part. My only super effective move is Smog, which is weak and inaccurate. This battle actually took 3 tries, in which I leveled up in between. When I finally managed to get past him, I had been brought down to 1 HP. I did heal with my berry, but since the sun was up, he would have KO'd me if I didn't beat him with my last attack. Up in the Mound Cave we have our first real rival battle. This one ended up being really close. We can one-shot his Paris, but his Sneasel is able to take a few hits, and lowers my speed with Icy Wind. After it went down, his Bagon came in and started doing big damage with Headbutt. I burned it with Will-O-Wisp, and thanks to that I was able to just hang on with 1 health and get the win. GG. Now the evil team in this game are the Power Rangers. Pallet Patrollers. Their leader is the Red Ranger, and so we have our first battle with him. This battle isn't really worth recapping in all honesty. His only Pokemon that was a threat was his Growlithe, which we one-shot with our newly learned Laughing Gas. From there, the rest of his team was an easy beatdown. Next up is the Grass-type gym leader Rinji, but I'm sure you know how this goes. We are a slightly over-leveled Poison type with Sludge. As a result, we wiped the floor with his entire team. Now we can catch our second team member, Jigglypuff, on Route 69.
Nice.
I evolved it immediately with a Moonstone, as it turns out that it learns all the same moves by level up as its previous form, so there's no point in not buffing up our stats. We've got our third gym match against the fairy user Brooklyn. This was hardly a match though. We've got a Poison type and a super effective move, so we completely destroyed her. We would be challenging Edison's Dark Gym for his badge, but because he hasn't had a good dream in years, he doesn't want to fight us. Looks like we've got a side quest to take care of first. While exploring the Haunted Forest in the Raijin region, I find my third team member, a Ghastly. Nice to have a ghost type. Now with our little side quest out of the way, we can take on Edison. His opening Houndour roared Wigglytuff out of battle, but my new Haunter was able to deal with him. It's too bad though that his Sneasel nailed me with a Dark type move and took Haunter out in 1 hit. Wigglytuff was able to beat the rest of his team with Fairy Wind, but it did take a few hits, since it's not a very powerful move. Nevertheless, we got a win on our first try. While heading to the next city, we have another battle with our rival. He wasn't really threatening at all at this point. Wigglytuff was able to one-shot his first two Pokemon, and despite the fact that his Sneasel and Shelgon had strong moves, Wigglytuff has solid bulk, so she was easily able to survive their attacks, and secure the victory all by herself. Next up is the fighting gym leader Andre. Fighting Pokemon are weak to gas types, so I led with Gengar, who was able to handle his whole team by himself. Only his Gallade and Machamp survived more than one attack, and they barely fought back. Good job, Gengar. While exploring the Firelight Caverns, we've got another battle with the Red Ranger. Half of his team is weak to gas, so this wasn't too bad, despite the fact that my team wasn't fully healed at the time. Gengar now has Mustard Gas too, a 90 power move with 100% accuracy and a chance to burn, so this was really useful. Yet another good job, Gengar. After that, I caught myself a Torkoal. This took a while to find, even with emulator speed up, as this fiery turtle only has a 1% encounter rate. All the same, I'm glad we've got a fire type now. Now we've got to deal with the gas type gym leader, Ayaka. Torkoal was able to take down his Haunter, but because he's so slow, he sustained quite a bit of damage. As such, he couldn't hang on long enough to take down his own Torkoal. Weezing dealt with the next two easily enough, and Gengar managed to burn his Drapion with Mustard Gas. I was really grateful for that when I saw just how much damage his Night Slash did, even with having his attack cut in half. Probably my favourite battle so far. While breaking out of prison, that escalated quickly, we bump into our rival. I lead off with Torkoal, who now has the brand new move, Lava Pool. This is a fantastic entry hazard that burns grounded Pokemon upon switching in. With that, my Fiery took out the whole of his team by himself. I guess you could say that we burned him. After that, I travelled back to the Naujol ruins and managed to find a wild Loudred. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get an Exploud, since Whismur can't be caught until post-game, but thankfully Loudred can, so it's all good. I also managed to get a Chingling, so it looks like we've got our full team. I did want a Porygon Z, but you can't get the upgrade for Porygon 2 until post-game. Oh well, nice to have a Psychic type I suppose. While training for the next gym, I ran into a shiny Natu. Obviously I caught it, because it's pure sacrilege to not catch every shiny possible. Hashtag no shiny left behind. Our 7th gym challenge is the sound type user, Cadence. My newly evolved Exploud was able to handle all three of her sound types on his own, with the newly typed Tri-Attack. This move has its own unique typing, and one of the types it's super effective against is the sound type. Thanks to this and the fact that she didn't exactly make the best move choice, I secured myself the penultimate badge. While progressing through the story, you encounter a stationary shiny Rhydon. This thing fills a similar role to the red Gyarados from the Johto games. Once again, I caught it. Now we arrive at the final gym. This is unique, as they take your Pokemon away at the start, and give them back to you two at a time, in order of their lowest levels. Also, the other gym trainers are the other gym leaders. This is one of the coolest concepts for a gym. I am just going to skip over these guys though, and just go straight to the actual gym leader, Steve, the Steel Trainer. I started with Torkoal, who set up the Lava Pool and took down his Mawile easily. My entry hazard did a good enough job of crippling his team, but since roughly half of them were also part electric, he did manage to take out both Gengar and Torkoal. Thankfully, Exploud was able to handle the rest of his team with Hyper Voice. Solid fight. Right outside the Pokemon League, we get challenged one final time by our rival, but this time, he was hardly worth recapping. He doesn't even have a full team at this point, plus two of his Pokemon didn't even try to fight back. After using Rest on his Ursaring, he just switched it out, undoing all of his setups, and resetting his sleep counter. The only Pokemon on his team that could have been a major threat was his Salamence, who went down in one hit from Icy Wind. Get wrecked. Let's take one look at the team before we take on the league. Overall, I'm rather pleased with how this group of new types has turned out, so let's give the Pokemon League what for. Our first challenge is Ice-type trainer Yuki. Naturally, I led with Torkoal and set up my Burn Hazard, which proved to be very effective in preserving my Fiery Turtle. He took out roughly half of her team before needing to switch out. I expect he could have lasted longer, but she did set up Hail at the start of the battle, but it didn't really matter as the rest of her team wasn't particularly bulky. Easy enough for our first Elite Four member. Second is Flying Trainer Sora, so Lava Pool is going to be useless in this battle. Not gonna lie, he's got a pretty cool team. Makes me want to do a Flying type mono run. Anyway, while Gengar was able to handle his whole team single-handedly, he did take massive damage from Sora's Pidgeot after it nailed us with Brave Bird. I wonder if that thing is at a buff in this game. Oh well, thanks to our stab moves and Icy Wind, my victory was a simple breeze. Third up is a ground type trainer called Daichi. This was another fairly simple battle. Gengar has both Icy Wind and Energy Ball, so I was able to hit all of his team incredibly hard. Torkoal came in to take down his Steelix and set up a burn, but I reckon we could have won regardless. Fourth up is a former champion named Miura. This guy doesn't specialise in a specific type. Now this guy actually did put up a fight. All of his Pokemon hit hard and had some way of scuffling our strategy. His Fearow has Whirlwind to switch us out, his Ludicolo can heal with Giga Drain, and his Tyranitar can injure us with his Sandstorm ability. His Houndoom even took out both Torkoal and Weezing. Definitely the best battle of the run so far. Alright, here we go. Our final challenge is the Pokemon Champion and our father, Dragon Trainer Lance. Now let me tell you, this one came down to the wire. I led with Wigglytuff, whose competitive ability gave us a special boost after his Salamence dropped my attack with Intimidate. As a result, Wigglytuff took him out in a single hit, but his Garchomp actually survived and took me out with Earthquake. From there, the fight was a constant back and forth. Most, if not all of his team have Outrage, which hits like a truck. In the end it came down to Weezing versus Flygon, who thankfully hid itself in confusion after he used Outrage, securing me a very close victory. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Now this game does have a bunch of post-game content. Hell, you can collect another 12 badges. But that's basically another game in and of itself, so I'm just going to end here. Maybe I'll come back to this in the future for the post-game. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you guys are enjoying these ROM hacks, because I certainly am. As always, feel free to suggest any challenges or games you'd like to see me cover in the future. Remember to like, comment, share and subscribe if you want to see more content from me in the future, and until next time, have an awesome day.